Good morning, guys. I'm going to be talking today about our HODL bags, and we're going to start off with Bitcoin. Bitcoin being one of um, the bigger catalyst for what could possibly be our next the buy the dip scenario. Now, it is extremely tricky when we have these buy the dip scenarios engineered because of Bitcoin. Because what Bitcoin can do is it can make it look like it's horrendously horrible, and then your alt Bitcoin retraces, like we have on this example here. Bitcoin retraces 6%, your alt retraces 13, 15%. And this is all part of the cycle of how these coins work. So when Bitcoin is in the stronger seat, alts will give you bigger discounts. That's why it's so important to take profit at these areas. So at best, you've got a 10% farming opportunity right now sitting in the market. So if you look at Bitcoin from a pure, the word I'm looking for is volatility point, you can see that we smashed through two gaps. And it's these gaps that's supposed to be held as the momentum goes stronger. And when we start smashing through smaller time frame gaps, we find ourselves in bigger time frame gaps or bigger gaps on the chart, because this is a 1 minute chart. And then once that is there, we'll start building up a new set of momentum. So the key thing to remember here is that the price remains bearish as long as there's a 45-degree angle. And that's what the idea was with point and figure in its inception by, Richard J. Wyckoff, I think is a J, was that when you use the point and figure, you wanted to identify whether there's a bullish trend or a negative trend and try and eradicate. Remember, this is investment. The crazy that gets created by wicks like this or shakeouts in the market, because he understands that although he is investing in the market, there's a whole different world out there of people trading in the market. Hence the reason we were on yesterday's YouTube, and I just basically warned, cautionary, if we're going to dump, we're going to go back to 67. We also looked at where the max pain was at that stage, and the max pain was at 67. So at this stage, the market is exactly where it's supposed to be. The most amount of traders and betting men is basically now put under pressure where it's at. Okay, so that said, it doesn't mean that the intrinsic or the bull cycle and the value that goes with that is under pressure as this, because you can see within our array we still have a lot of room for pullback should it want to, and we'll still be intact. And as this is going, you can see now we've had our strong bullish divergence, a strong bearish divergence. I always mix up stuff when I talk, guys. Please bear with me. Strong bearish divergence, and we're below the thou shall not cross line on the pivot, but that is found with strong or hidden bearish divergence. And this is normally how a top starts. Hidden bullish divergence. Let me get the right line there. I apologize, guys. And this is found by that because you can clearly see that we're sitting in a situation where price is now still strong, but the RSI is getting time to retrace. And this is realistically always really healthy. So we might be setting up to try and capture either this trend or this expectation in the market, or this trend, this expectation in the market. And that's why when you look back at charts, you can always draw a line, and it just kind of makes so easy sense that, yeah, I should have just done this. So price can literally shake out in this area, and then we're still good to go. And this creates a lateral range, this being the bottom of the range, this being the top of the range, and this being the secondary test. So it shakes everybody out, gets back in, and then goes. Okay, so that is big picture how bad it could be. Now, small picture, or maybe it's not as bad, means that we probably close by the end of the day above the 68,000, which is important. So then that wick becomes insignificant. So from a trader point of view, I'm going to be hunting longs now. Okay, we're in a swing zone. I need to hunt longs. So I'm going to try and hunt for a long there. Timing kind of caught me. I went to bed and woke up to find this entire sell-off, and I missed it. And the thing about crypto is, guys, and the reality is, I mean, we've got these groups and we try and work together and trade together, but sometimes you also just need to have a break because the bloody thing never sleeps. And it's in that these things happen. So you need to be cool to forgive yourself. Okay. So guys, so this is 5 minutes into, so you've got a good idea of what it is I see within Bitcoin, where I see Bitcoin's going to go. And so now let's take this over and start looking at our alts. I've got the entire alt list here. So I'm going to go through them one by one. And within the Discord, I also see that there is some requests. So I'm going to be doing your new altcoin requests as well. So we'll be looking at SALT, DAR, CLV, and I had a comment from, I think it was Jonathan Sharp sent me a message regarding portfolio structure. So I'll, at the end of the stream, do a little bit on my portfolio structure. Look, guys, there's no real right or wrong. It's just logical common sense. What needs to be where in order for, you know, your portfolio to be diverse enough to accommodate crazy swings and so forth. So we're going to be talking about that as well. And that's about everything that I wanted to say for BTC and the start of the stream. So we're going to start going through each one of these coins as the market goes. So I'm going to start off with them. Remember that you can filter them by what the type they are, so you can bring up the type of coins you want. And the key here is that these different categories means that that's areas I want to diversify. So sometimes layer ones are going to outperform everything, but DeFi will probably come back as well. In the end of the day, yield finding, governance, and so forth. And then the same then obviously for the smaller and the smaller, and then we're going to be loading in some of the 100x gems as well today. So the investment report being recorded now is going to be quite a meaty one. So it's going to give you the whole weekend to work through it and see where you're at. As this is investments, just as a reminder for anybody that is new, you're working on weekly time frames, daily, weekly time frames. You do not need to act in the second, guys. So you have to take almost like a let's wait and see scenario on this because of the pure time frame. Once we trade 15 minutes or any of those things, this is when you need to be ready in the moment because you've got seconds to make a decision. And there you can see, I mean, this was happening at 2:30 in the morning for me. I was sound asleep at that stage. Looking at it now, I wish I was in it. But now the market is trying to reclaim this. So we're going to be looking at this trade setup on the trading side of things. So you're at the bottom of what is the expectation that's been coming from way, way, way back. Now, remember, when you jump within time scales, these lines do get a little bit distorted. So we're going to do a fresh analysis on the trading side a little bit later. Okay, guys, let's get into the alt. So, guys, the first coin on our alt is in the big cap category. And it's Ethereum. So the last buy zone I shared with you guys was Ethereum at $2,000. And I showed you guys how we can track the trend momentum using a FIB from 1,500 for an ETH all the way up to $4,000 for where we are now. We've tickled and smashed our long-term take profit, which was at $3,922 for Ethereum. So now the answer or the question that you need to be asking yourself is where between 4,000 and 2,200 is our next probable bounce. So now we can farm. So anything from here to there, from the top, 2,000, 4,000 to where we go somewhere in here is a bounce. So there is even room for a 30% retracement. Now it's worth noting that the ETH spot ETF is on its way, and BTC, while we were gearing up for the potential spot ETF, there was shakeouts. There was these kind of a pullbacks. This being an alt, I expect nothing less of it. Moving the previous retrace trend momentum down, I mean the bearish momentum that slowed this. The reality is that we could be moving in an angle similar to this or steeper. It's a little too soon to know. So we just need to wait it out and before we can get into that area. Updating the FIB level as well. So what I'll do is I'm just going to clean up some of the old lines real quick. Updating the FIB level means that I'm going to take it from 1500 and move the bottom up to our buy zone, because this is where the last impulse is. And you can see when we do that, that price, although we pulled back severely yesterday, went all the way to the 23.6. So there's nothing telling me at the moment it is over. This is a buy the dip scenario. But these buy the dip scenarios, guys, creates a complacency narrative in all the hodlers' minds. So you need to be vigilant. As soon as you feel like, I'll just wait it out, you know you are messing up. Okay. So we're staying above the 23.6. So for the bigger majority of traders and people that's still looking to accumulate alts, your most probable target, even as simple as it sounds, stupid as it sounds, is sitting at around the 38.2 and the 618. That's it. Now, if we want to try and narrow that down, the easiest way to do this is to actually scale this up to the weekly time frame. And when we look at this from the weekly time frame, you'll find, and I'm going to switch over to the line tool at the top, you can switch over to the areas where there was a little bit of a bargaining happening in Ethereum. So we had bargainings happening there in the previous bull cycle highs. We had bargainings happening in there. You can see that this was a band of resistance. Once price reached it, it tried to stay above it, and it failed, ultimately rejecting from it. And there's a lot of confluence then between the 38.2 and the 50, which means that we're potentially not going to see a 3 grand ETH. And if it goes as low, it's going to be a wick, and it's going to be quick, and it's over. So that is the next buy zone. Okay. Just going to mark that as old buy zone, as this is the chart that I've shared on YouTube. Okay, so that's the next buy zone. So we're trying to hit the 33,350, and that's given that we trade below 36 first. So it's very soon. So let's give this thing some time before we get too drastic on that. The next coin on my list is going to be Solana, and if you look at it from a weekly time frame, there's absolutely nothing bearish about Solana. It smashed through $173, and this dip that we've experienced is basically non-existent on Solana. So it's a strong trending coin at the moment. So let's unpack this and see how we can identify additional entries. So I'm going to scale the time frame back up to the weekly time frame for Solana, and what we now need to do, and I'm just going to quickly take this this fib array and move it to the high point. So what you can see is that from steeper angles like we have now, once you start getting retraces, you need to stomach big ranges in price. And this means that for me to try and get in on Solana, if I'm late to the party, it's literally too late now. The risk to reward ratio is so high because although the big picture is still telling me that Solana has potential to go now to that $240 level, which is where my next target is, as I shared yesterday, it still has the ability to retrace if something goes horribly wrong to at least 150, and it will still be good buys. 140 and it will still be a good buy. So it's a tricky one because you need to be able to stomach a lot. Now, if we move Solana, zoom out to look at where Solana was, comparison to the previous all-time high of Solana, you can see that we're very close to it, and that we're reaching that pivot that created the bear market pump. So there is that additional 50% of green that's in the market. So that's why I'm saying $250 for the next area where we need to look at taking some profit. But what we do know is where we're at now is there's still strong bearish divergence irrespective of this. But that strong bearish divergence means that our thou shall not cross pivot line is sitting at 112. So there needs to be something monumentously wrong with this, and the price needs to sell off 35% before we can even think about worrying about this. So that's the amount of risk you need to stomach should you want to buy some Solana today. Okay. If you want to give it a little bit of time, there's a potential possibility that we will consolidate above 174, create a lateral range, and then give us another buying opportunity, as it just makes sense that at some stage we will try and get back to the other side of the ray, just to bring a little bit of common sense and buyer or investor security into this. Because why? Traders like to see a trend. They like to see a trend, respect it, and once it's done, it just reconfirms the conviction they have in holding Solana and seeing it go to the moon. So there you have it, guys. TP240. We smashed through resistance at 175. The sell zone was invalidated, and what we now need to look for is price to stay of 174 thereabout, and we do not want to, and we can expect price to fall all the way back down to 111 for that case. But let's leave it at that for now, and we'll take it as the candle sprint, guys. That's the key. We'll take it as a candle print. So on the daily time frame, even there's nothing telling me that I should be worrying about divergence within this move. So we could probably chop all the way up to about 211, and then there might be a sweet short should we miss our targets. Remember, there's no guarantees on these things, guys. It might first need to go down before it goes up. Okay. The next coin I'm going to look at is AVAX. We had the buy at $28. It's currently trading at $54. So this is almost 2x. Once we 2x, I am selling. Okay. So the TP sitting at around $65 for me for AVAX still. Okay. This means that this one for me is a take profit coin more than buy the dip. Yes, can this thing still do crazy stuff? Obviously, there's a lot of upside, but for now, I'm just looking at the $65 as my sell zone. Getting in on price now, if you want to get in on AVAX, you can see that what we have at around $48 or $50 psychological level is our thou shall not cross level. So we don't want to see price start trading below that area. So your AVAX needs to be secure below 50. If I update the FIB level to try and push it to where price is now, you can see that the 23.6 price point is sitting around 47. So there's a lot of confluence at that high 40 or $50 level for AVAX to still have a retrace buy opportunities to push higher. Okay. Now, guys, it's just at this stage worth noting, if your minds aren't wondering, but what about what I said about BTC, guys? You need to understand that these things all have their own emotional market cycle, their own way, and you have a scenario where the dominance might deviate from its trend. And the best way to do that is Bitcoin may be dumping harder and a strong alt standing strong in order for the alt to the BTC pairing to break the bearish trend that they've been suffering. Remember, they're all still kind of trending down to the BTC pairing, because the fact is that the dominance is just strong, just sucking everything out of all the alts. Okay, so there you have AVAX, target 65, bottom of the range 48. So if you want to buy, that's your area, and you want to be trying to hold all the way to around 35. The next coin on the list is MATIC. The buy that was shared publicly was at around 93 cents for MATIC, and the take profit we're trying to look for is around $1.32. Yesterday, I did say to you guys, listen, nearest makes no difference. We're as close as we can potentially get to that. So if you want to try and realize some of that gains, it's a good time to do so. MATIC subsequently sold off 15% over the evening. So any late buyers would be feeling kind of horrible at this moment. Now, when we look at the RSI for MATIC, and this is the important thing that I want to just point out to you guys, the RSI is trending down while price is still, and I'm going to just switch the price over to the line tool, still making higher highs and higher lows. So on the macro view of this entire move that we currently find ourselves in, MATIC is in a buy zone for a trade. So if you want to spot trade this is a really good area to try and do that. You have hidden bullish divergence almost completely locked in. This means that there's more oomph in this. So wait for the daily to close and see what it does. But hidden bullish divergence is already intact, so we might still push up a higher high, and we might still hit that 132 on the dot. Now, it's up to you to define how greedy and how much risk you can take, because in the end of the day, we all have a completely different environment when we look at our portfolios. So there isn't a one size fits all. You might be new, you only have AVAX or MATIC or whatever the case might be, then it's a good time for you to diversify. But if this is your 100th coin and you're in a situation where you can stomach long-term holding, because this is going to pump big time when Ethereum gets a spot approval, that's up to you. The risk is in your hands, guys. Okay, so important targets now. Let's just quickly rehash this. I'm going to put a fib on so that we can look at the important targets for this retrace. So I'm taking it from the range lows of around 69 cents to where we are now. And when we look at the 23.6, which is our continuation fib level, you can see that at around $1.15 is a really good area for the momentum to continue. So we've got the trend lining up at the $1.15. We've got the 23.6 retrace level lining up at the $1.15. So there's a lot of confluence, and we've got hidden bullish divergence. Three things telling me that there's a real good reason for this to want to bounce there, try and make the higher high. So keep that in the back of your mind when you look at MATIC. Our next coin on the list is Bitcoin Cash. When we looked at Bitcoin Cash, our entry buys was originally sitting down at the $100 level. I gave you guys some really good entries at around 210, and we're currently sitting at $412 for a one Bitcoin Cash. Now, it's worth noting that Bitcoin in this last pump smashed through our TP, which was around $400, and smashed through the Dow-Shulman cross line at $448. So if we look at this now, the sell zone is invalidated, so we don't need to sell, and we can hold for longer targets. Now, we do have TPs, so why the hell do I say sell zone invalidated and TPs? Just as a reminder, sell zone is where you can ladder out, where you can take and realize some profit, and a TP is, and a sell zone is also something where you have the opportunity or where you can think about whether you want to be holding for more, because price can reach the sell zone and smash right through this and keep on going. So a sell zone means that we want to look at technical analysis before we act. A TP is I'm selling regardless. So that's the difference between a sell zone and a TP, guys. So when we look at where we are now, TP's hit, and I'm happy to just be partly out of this one, and the next target is still $1,000. So let's put our fib on this entire move, and let's look for confluence. So for the entire move, the confluence is that price needs to stay above 425, and that's always above our previous TP zone. And that means that if you feel like you want to buy back, this is your opportunity. So maybe you sold prematurely, or maybe you sold at the TP at 525. This means that this is a really good area to buy back. Do I feel like price can fall lower? Yes, there's always the risk, like you can see in the chart here, what it did at 166 to 118, where there's this trade gap. When once it broke out, never came back. So we have that scenario where this exact same thing can happen again. And this means that probable bounce point as well, if there's some crazy shit in the market, for lack of a better explanation, means that there will still be buying opportunities, fearful buying, really good bargains, okay, in this area. So I'm going to mark this buy zone out for you guys. So this is the buy zone. So the buy zone is sitting between 360 and 308. And that's only given if we lose the 23.6 at 425. There is price wicks into this area when we had our initial pump. So it tells me that there's some liquidity there. So for this one, I'll be a little bit more greedy because of the success, and I'll wait for the buy at 358 to 306. And should there be a continuation of trend, there will be a breakout entry that we can take at a later stage. I want to hold this then for the next TP, which is going to be sitting at $890. So it's a nice triple your money scenario again, almost in that regard. So keep an eye out for Bitcoin Cash. Set your limit orders within the buy zone, and that's going to be the next goal for Bitcoin Cash. Next coin on the list is XRP. Now, what did we say on the YouTube? I said, if we go and make a higher high, I will wait for it to come back to 65 and then buy. Now, trying to create a reason not to buy or manufacture a reason not to buy could be that, yeah, we didn't make that higher high. But when we look at the entire move, you can see that there's obviously a lot of trap liquidity within that range. We basically traded, not closed above it. We've got big breakout volume. So this could be our second attempt at buying XRP in that 65 cent zone. Remember, the original buy was at around 51 cents for XRP. So if you take that information to our long-term chart, where we're at now is in a buy zone. So let's take out these squibbles. Maybe I need to just leave them once. So where we are now, we're in a buy zone. We still have a trend. And on the macro view, this is just trying to still test the upper boundaries of this original breakout. So the success of the breakout was due to the news of the lawsuit being won or swayed into XRP's favor, which means that what is a crypto security needs to be redefined. Now that redefinition takes place, everything is calming down, and we might have a scenario where this is just going to coil again around, and XRP has this way of just moving out of the blue and then calming down again. So price targets for XRP, where we're at now, 62 cents, 66 cents, where we're at right now, 63 cents. This is a fundamental investment buy. There is a trend intact, so as you can see there, and we might still sweep a low and go back to that 56 cents. But for me, that will then be horrendous. So although I know that there might be bargains waiting in there, so if the market wants to trick you, it goes in that area. Stick to the macro closing prices. I'm going to move this over to the weekly time frame. And from the weekly time frame, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get above that 62 level in order to cement in that we've broken out and reclaimed this area. So wait for the weekly. If we close around this area, you know, there's only a few times that we've closed a weekly candle below it, and it's Friday today. You've got 2 days to wait and see what it does. And then from that point onwards, you can try and grab this to see if XRP is going to do what? At least meet its $30 level for a take profit, which was kind of lined up with where the previous all-time high was. And this means that from the 65 cents, you're looking at a double your money on XRP. Not a real big return on this at the moment. Time within this momentum could change and the narrative could change. So it's worthwhile considering some XRP risk in your wallet. The next coin on our list is DOT. It's in the sell zone, and it's yet to break the $12 line. Once it goes above DOT, when DOT goes above $12, it opens the door for bigger targets. My TP for DOT still sitting around 15.9 cents. It means that I want to see it fill this gap that was created when the bear market became really painful. And that was off the back that when it lost $17 in January 2022, it sold off considerably all the way back down to $3. So I expect price to want to try and get into that liquidity gap, just like Solana did, when it sold off immensely. Okay, so when we look at where we are now, if we update our FIB ray, you can see that we still have a lot of room for drawdown. And this drawdown still means that DOT can still shake all the way down to about $9, $8 and still be a really good buy for the higher highs. Do you want to sell at the moment? Remember, guys, I explained this as a sell zone. And this means that if you bought at $3, this is a really juicy buy. It's a 3x already. But if you bought at $6, this is a 2x. So your sell or your sentiment around whether you want to be selling is completely different. Now, if you put a normal retracement fib on the entire move to try and look for confluence, you can see that the sell zone is sitting right below the 23.6 line, which is at $9. The bottom of the sell zone is sitting right above the 23.6 fib level, and that price point is around $9.9. So if price wants to find an area or create a lateral range to build support for the success that it's had, this would be a really good area to do so. So keep an eye out for that. So where price is trading at now, which is about $10, it means there's a dollar discount from where we are now, and you're probably in a real good buy the momentum zone for it to try and break the $12 barrier. Okay. Other than that, I'm just going to be waiting for that $1. And when DOT starts moving, we'll start thinking about all the projects built on the DOT network, like your Kusamas, and there's a whole list of them. And then we can start taking some profit out of the main man and throwing it into the other ones and any of the new ones that might be coming our way as well, in order to maximize the potential gain within the DOT ecosystem. So now we're going to be looking at NEO. Next picture, big picture view for me for NEO is still to see if it's going to try and hold this $15 a NEO level and to try and trade it all the way to 36. There's a gap below 36. So I assume that within that area around 36 is going to be a really good to take profit zone for NEO. Now you can see if you look at the NEO chart and you compare it to some of the Solanas, they've already gone exceptionally well. Well, NEO still needs to do some catch up. So you have a 2x, 3x potential here easily, whereas it's going to be very hard for Solana to start doing 2x's, 3x's. That's the fact that it's already at $200. You need $400 just to get to that 2x scenario. Now, if we break this down and we try and look for where we're at now, I'm going to apply a normal fib. I'm going to just use the current ray, and we're in a real good retrace zone. So buy zone for a NEO to try and get to that that take profit target would be, let me just mark this out, would be between $15.77 and $12.31. So it's a quite wide range. But if we then take this and we have a look at the bigger picture, you can see that there's still a real good considerable upside. So where it's at now, I'll wait for a little bit of a pullback, try and see if we can get it below 1550. And then from that point onwards, we're bouncing on the top of these wicks. We're turning what was major resistance. You can see that how many times it's been struggling to get above 15. It's done this now. Now you want to bet on the fact that it's going to hold. That's the risk you're going to take. You're betting on whether it's not going to hold. And if it does, the reward is that you're going to be going all the way to at least $36 for your NEO. So when we look at Chainlink, you can see that what I've done now for NEO and all the other alts we looked at was give you guys the same type of buy zone and using an example of how that buy zone plays out. The buy was $16 for NEO. We've already went there once. And at the moment, we made a higher high from that $16 area. So NEO went to $22. So it's trying to stay within the $20 realm now. So it's fighting $19 at the moment. And it's just a psychological number. Remember, auction theory, you have these psychological price points, 5, 15, 20. Every time you break one of this, it opens the door between the next levels. And that's quarter level theory. 5, if it goes 20, 22.5 would be the next target. Goes 22.5, 25, and so forth. So these quarter levels do have a psychological barrier on price. And what we have now is we've got price trying to ensure or test, make sure that 20 is actually the area where we want to go. So at the moment, price is coming back down, and ideal area could even be around $18 for a real good buy for Link. So this is a continuation of the buy that's already been hit. So I'm not going to mark it as another buy for you guys. But there you have it, 20 $18 is a good buy zone for Link. And then we want to try and see if Link can go to at least $25. Remember, when we break that $25, we're going to run into a lot of resistance, because 35 was an insane resistance level. That's where I'm waiting for my real long-term areas. So my long-term take profit sitting around 38. And why would I feel like that? Because there's going to be a lot of short sellers entering the market around that area. So we might have that little crazy little one last into that 38 level. So buy sitting at 18, take profit $38. And that's it. And then I want to try and utilize some more of my Link in other projects. Spread the risk, because this is just the way that the cycle works, guys. This is big coins taking profit, moving on into all the smaller versions. So the next coin on our list, it is TRON. And when we look at TRON, the last argument was that we've smashed our TP at around 12 cents. And I want to see price go back down to at least 11 cents to kind of find a floor, just like Chainlink done and all the others. So at the moment, that target is still there. That's still relevant. And you can see the TRON is almost like falling through the floor on the way. It's just falling. So at the moment, TRON is going to really hurt a lot of people because of this insane bearish momentum. So expect another 12% drawdown. So look for TRON at around 10 cents. 11 cents. That would be a real good buying opportunity for TRON. And then from that point onwards, you want to see whether it's going to go make that higher high. So the next buy is to try and hold for price discovery, meaning go past the previous highs at 18 cents and find a moon. And then we take it level by level. So there's no real TP zone for me in this area, because it can be in this price discovery range, because it can be crazy. It can be 25 cents. TRON can have some fundamental news come out and pull it all the way to $1 for that matter. Then the complete picture changes. So for now, all that we do know is that there's a good reason for price to go to it around the previous highs. So I'm going to mark this out for you guys on the chart. We're looking at around 11 cents for TRON. And if we bring the RSI in, you can see that RSI is extremely overextended. So by the time that we get to at least 11 cents, we would potentially have an RSI lower than all these higher lows in price terms, which means this is your fourth leg from a 5-wave impulse, means there's hidden bullish divergence, and you need to then buy and go on. So for now, we're planning or preemptively trying to make sure that that hidden bullish divergence, that's pretty much already almost locked in there from all the other lows. I want to, from all these other lows, gives us that sweet spot buy. Now, if we try and get some confluence around that price target, the tool that we'll use is our FIB levels. I'm just going to do that. And you can see that is only the 23.6. So our buy zone lines up with the 23.6. So actually, to say it correctly, anything between 12 cents and 11.7 cents is a real good buy area in order for us to try and target the previous all-time highs and higher high price discovery areas, which potentially be 24 cents. Maybe let's make it 24 cents. Give it a lot of room to try and get there. Okay. Next coin on the list is Shiba Inu. Guys, look, the success, nobody's planned this. I didn't foresee a 400% spike within a few days. It's just the thing about meme crazy. So I sold my SHIB. Like I said, I secured a $9 profit on my SHIB. And I'm happy to be out of SHIB for now. And I shared on the YouTube a few new up-and-coming alts. I'm rather going to be looking at those, and I'll try and work those alts into the investment report at the end. If we look at Shiba Inu now, look, it's still a beast. It's probably still going to make high, and you can see that we're in the 38.2 zone, FIB zone, and that's, you can't pronounce that number. So I'm just going to mark them out as per the buy box. So you've got between the 38.2 on your FIB and the 618 on your FIB, where there will be some sort of a bounce. You can see the significance or the resistance that our TP zone indicated. And if price bounces and holds within that range, it's going to create exactly just that expectation that there's going to be lower bargains to buy that never comes. So when it breaks out, you'll have more people chasing in on this. Remember, Shiba Inu is trying to break away from the meme, and it's built an entire DeFi ecosystem behind the formation or the success of the meme price. So there is more than just a bullshit community token. But yeah, guys, just look at this from that point of view. And there's already really big established players, memes pumping extremely fast. So when they do, realize those gains and then let the rest of the meme holders take the punishment. Uni is one of those coins, again, when we look at Uniswap, that has exceeded the success. Our original buy for Uni was sitting at around $4, guys. We're sitting at the moment at $13. And this thing is steamrolling to the upside, made yet another higher high. And you can see that we're in the bottom of our momentum right now. Does that make sense to have it like that? I don't know, guys, to be honest with you. When you have something that goes parabolic like this, it's always a little crazy. But Uni at $13 could be considered a real good buy zone. Why? If we zoom out, you'll find that the bear market, the bull market, previous bull market lows that was lost, that initiated the insane bear market loss, was sitting at around $13. So the goal is to try and reclaim this. Remember, this is the same equivalent as when Bitcoin got above $30,000. Once it reclaimed that, it was game on. So the idea here is to try and see whether Uni can hold $13 as opposed to sell off all the way back down and try and get to 32 even. My long-term TP for this is a 23, and that's off the back that I've already sold Uni from my original $4 buy, and I'm waiting for more. So what do you do if you want to get into Uni today? So the goal would be to try and see whether Uni holds $13. There is substantial risk or drawdown because there's the potential possibility that it goes back down to $8. So you've got two buy zones for Uni. One where it's at now, and another one in that Wyckoff accumulation area at $10, $9, $10. So those would be two options. So spread your risk so that you can accommodate both of these buy zones should that eventuality happen. And then your target would be, in order for those to be worth your risk, would be to try and sit at around $30 for Uni, because this is the next trading range that we're going to be trying and reclaim. So if we stay above $13, $30 would be a really good sell zone. If we fall back to $8, $23 would be a really good sell zone, and treat Uni like that. Okay. All right, guys. The next one on the list is obviously Litecoin. And as I explained the last time around, the potential buy was around $76, $69 Litecoin. When we initiated our first high, we wicked all the way back down, and your buys should be triggered. And now we're at resistance at around 105, and we're selling back down. So the goal was to try and at least get to 111. My sell zone for this sitting at 144. I've warned and I said to you guys, from the Litecoin halving time that, this doesn't really make a lot of money. Only near the end of the bull cycle does Litecoin really give you a lot of multipliers. So I would rather want to buy Litecoin there and enjoy that run than to try and buy Litecoin here and wait for that entire run to take place. There's better performing coins. So for me, Litecoin is still, just out of gains, purely just out of making money, not as successful as I would want it to be. So our trend is intact, price is retracing. So let's dissect this Litecoin price point a little bit. So if I take it from the bottom to the top, we've lost the 23.6. We're right back in the 618.38.2 zone. So this is a reaccumulation area. This is a buy zone for you to try and trade Litecoin for a higher high. Now, if I bring in the RSI, you can see that the beginnings of hidden bullish divergences in the makings, which means that this thing can chop within this buy zone all the way as low as $82 for Litecoin before we find some sort of a floor and push up to $144, which would be about almost a 2x. Okay, so that's the game plan for Litecoin, should you be interested in Litecoin. Dogecoin is another meme that kind of kicked my ass. Look, the target was up here, 21 cents, didn't quite get there. But there was an additional hope that it's going to go back to 9 cents as a buy, and it never did. So Doge just went and went and went. And the warning that I basically said the last time around when we looked at Dogecoin is that I don't know if Elon Musk is going to be tweeting on this as well. Because if something happens that Doge army finds positive, the price just runs away. Now, remember, what is Dogecoin? It's a fork from Bitcoin. That's it. It's just another Bitcoin. So it's a Bitcoin at 15 cents as opposed to a Bitcoin at $70,000. So what do we want to see with Doge for now? The only way that we can look at this is try and say previous lows to where we are now. We're below the 23.6, which is at 17 cents for Doge. So the probability that price is going to want to find a floor within this buy zone is between 15 and 12 cents. Now, whether you buy it at 15 or you buy it at 12, once you have a dollar Doge, that 2 cents does not really make such a big difference on the big picture. And the narrative and the way that Doge moves means that I'm going to buy that and I'm going to be a gambler, a degen on this one and say, well, I want to see Doge go to $1. And if everybody else want to see Doge at $1, I'm going to short sell them. And I'm going to wait until 90 cents to kind of get my ass out. So this is going to be my TP for Doge. Okay. And I've got limit orders sitting at the bottom and trying to get in at 15 cents. Big picture, how much multipliers can Doge give me in this instance? 500%. That's what, 6x, something like that. So there you have it, guys. So it's a little too far to realistically have this all in one screen. So read the notes in the channel, and I'll post a chart like this so you guys can see. Okay. Now, guys, this was the supply zone for Cardano, and the argument, or the sell zone. The argument is once we cross that red line at 82 cents, Cardano is now going to start running dollars. It's going to start picking up considerably. I gave you guys this previous buy zone for Cardano sitting at around 60 cents. That's when we were moving to the upside. If I quickly bring up Cardano in my list, where is it hiding? There we go. Oops. So that was the previous target. So we wanted to try and see whether it's going to go into that range. Now this image, let's just do this open in browser. So you can see that the idea was that we're going to go to the supply zone, come back, and we already tagged the buy zone. So the buy's already hit. Now, if we move back to Cardano, so there we've already hit the buy once. I feel like Cardano might give us another opportunity to go and visit that buy zone. So if you really want to try and sweet spot the Cardano as a buy, you can use that entire FIB, that entire wick as an area. So you might have, or you might find that a 63 cents, 65 cent target for Cardano for buy would be really good. Now, the hope was that Cardano will break that 84 cents before it comes back in the buy. But with the rest of the market still being bullish, I think it would be very immature in a sense to say, well, because it didn't do this in the scenario, it's over and we're going to go down to the floor. Okay, so Cardano buy zone sitting around 65 cents. And then what I will do is I'll update this FIB rate for you guys. Let's just take that away. Update this FIB rate for you guys and saying that you can see that this is all well in line with the momentum that's currently intact. So the 66 cents will be well received with a lot of buyers probably waiting around that area. So expect the market to try and get that liquidity that's waiting for it there. And then long-term targets, we're looking at where the massive sell-off happened for Cardano, where things really went wrong. It's around $1.63 and potential $1 as well. So it's still a really good deal. So I'm going to try and get to that $1.63 with ADA with this buy, and then try and slowly ladder out. Will ADA make a higher high? Obviously, I think it will. There's a lot of new projects being built on the ecosystem, just like any others, and there's some good upside potential for that. But then I would rather want to be in those projects as opposed to being in Cardano. So there's the Cardano playbook, guys. Now, the last one on the list is BNB coin. So Our buy, the last buy I shared at around $350, 358, got hit, tickled it, and went. Now, if you had a buy set in that area, you would be smiling. If not, you would be grinning and grinding your teeth because of what it did. It went to $633, way higher than my expectation. So I actually yesterday in yesterday's market tactics video, basically almost had to rush out of the market tactics video to go and sell my BNBs, and then I had to get my wife to sell her BNBs as well. So that's just one of those things, sometimes the market gives you these insane additional gains. So thank you for that. That being said, what are we going to do with BNB going forward? Okay, so when we look at where BNB is going to go next, I want to try and give it a little bit more time because of the insane parabolic nature of the move. So if you look at BNB there, you can see if we put a normal fib on it, 23.6 means we need to stay above 552. And there's a good reason that might happen, that BNB will leave this gap, not come back to any of these lower targets. The best version of that reason would be to do the following. If we look at this on the weekly time frame, this is now BNB all-time high, guys. It's literally at all-time high targets. Almost nobody's in drawdown with BNB at the moment. So there should be a lot of hype and fundamentals behind this. So if you look at that trend line there, you can see that this is what retail will be looking at. Saying, hey, it's there. And if it closes above it, it's breaking out and it's good to go. And maybe, yes, BNB goes to a couple of $1,000s in this bull cycle. So what do we do with this kind of information? Well, you have to take risk. Where's your risk? Your risk is going to be BNB at $550. So you're trying to get BNB in on that area there. You want to buy the 23.6 because at worst case scenario, we just make a higher high and we come back. And we'll have some strong bearish divergence or some downward cross line that we need to worry about on the weekly in order for us to secure some of that gains. Now, is this a lucrative buy? 20% doesn't really scream, I want it. But remember, BNB does have additional utility on the Binance network. It means you can stake your BNBs, get some of those coins. I'm still holding a lot of free BNB coins that I staked with my 50 BNB when we were here. Every time there's a new coin, you stake your 50 BNBs you don't need to have 10,000 BNBs. So yeah, that's something to take note. So BNB buy target 550. Try and get the higher high, guys, and try and stay in the momentum of the now, or the moment of the now. Okay, bring in the RSI real quick. You can see that this is either going to be a blow off top, so it's going to fall all the way back down, which means then we're going to get our 340 buy again get tested. Okay, or we're going to stay above the 23.6 and see more. And it's dependent on your portfolio and your risk appetite, which one of these two versions you feel fit. Take profits. I mean, guys, once we break through this, there's no realistic reason for us to sell at 680 or 700. Hold, price discovery. Then we take it level by level. And once we break some critical levels, whatever they will be at that stage, then we can really start saying, okay, right, that's it, I'm out. So this is a buy for the bull cycle. This is a buy for 18 months, that type of scenario. Okay. Right, guys, this concludes the first section of this week's Big Cap or investment report. So the Big Cap alts have now been done. I'm going to move over to the 15x, 20x, 50x, 100x gems as we go through. These will be separate videos as well, like I do normally, and be posted. And also will come with small descriptions on what happens in there. So get ready for those ones to drop pretty soon. For everybody else watching the video, guys, you know what to do. If you want to have more access, there's very simple ways that you can do that. You can get a free trial. All you need to do is get a Prime account using my referral link. Okay. Deposit $2,000 for your first month. Just let it say there, and then claim your access. And this will unlock the entire Discord so that you can see what it is we're doing and whether it's going to bring value to your own HODL bags, guys. Okay. Other than that, see you on the next video. Cheers, guys.